And we're live.
We're here. Hi.
Hi.
Maybe
Should we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We got a little wobbly for a sec, but now
we have a viewer.
we're good. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Live at Rich's Space. It's Wednesday night, and we're excited for tonight. So I think this is our 12th episode, which is really exciting.
We've been doing this for 12.
And it feels really fun.
It is such a fun ritual.
I've really enjoyed doing it. And I think our mic is working. I think everything's good. But also, if you like it, please subscribe. Also, it only gets better from here.
Yeah.
So we've been experimenting a lot. A couple times there was a ghost who deleted our recordings, and you know how it goes.
How else is it supposed to go?
How else is it supposed to go?
When you're in a magic tree house and technology sometimes malfunctions.
It does.
Malfunction.
Sometimes we have a microphone, sometimes we don't. You never really know because it's live.
Yeah.
And we are not
we're not scripted.
You
can probably tell.
Right. We've never worked on Saturday Night Live for sure. So Wednesday Night Live, it's a new thing.
I will say
for us.
It was always a dream of mine to be on SNL.
Stop.
Yeah, I truly always wanted to do it. I still do.
I would vote for you if that was part of the process.
So I have to be famous and relevant. I'm supposed to do it.
Okay.
If I were to host, but I don't know what auditions for a cast looks like. I should look into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I'm that funny though.
No, you're funny. You are funny.
I don't know.
You are a good time. Listen. Yes. Wholeheartedly.
Funny looking.
No. I think you could do it.
Okay, cool.
Have you ever done improv?
Well, no. So.
Well, let's go.
It's an empty dream.
Let's go.
I don't
play.
Okay. That would honestly be Jill skyrocketing out of her comfort zone.
Yeah.
Is an improv class. I mean, I essentially do it every Wednesday night here.
That's right, you do. That's right.
Yes, and
I think you'd be great at it, and I think that we should just go maybe do it sometime.
Have you done it before?
I kind of more when I was in high school. Yeah. It's fun. And you're funny and you're witty. I think you'd be great. Okay. You got to be quick on your feet. It's really fun when people laugh. It's a good time when we're going to do it. So
cool. Come catch us, I guess.
We'll let you know.
God.
What that turns into.
YOLO. What? Why the fuck not? Why not?
We've got our crystals because Mercury is in retrograde in Leo.
I'm tired of it. Are we done?
So many
when are we
things,
done?
So many things have happened. We still got time, I think.
What? How much?
I don't know. I need to check my calendar. My retrograde calendar.
I just want to stay inside at this point.
But we have crystals now.
So we're better.
So it's going to help.
You know what crystals don't help against?
What? What, Jill?
Men.
Right. Right.
Sometimes even when you throw it at them.
Sometimes. Yeah. The women are frustrated. A lot of the women are frustrated. Yeah. So I chose today's title because it was a little rage bait.
Thank you.
And
I ate it.
You ate that bait.
When you said this is what we're talking about, I said, yes, we are. And I have some things to say. So.
Yeah. So caveat, first of all humans are valuable. Yeah. And these are generalizations. Gender is a spectrum. And we all have a blend of masculine and feminine energies within us because that is polarity. There's a way to look at reality from a place of polarity and duality that is not enough to encompass the existence of our whole world, but is beneficial to look at because there are certain dynamics that if we're not aware of and understanding of them, we become ignorant to them. So we can't just turn a blind eye to the fact that there are men, there are women, and there are some imbalances going on. Okay, so for the sake of the conversation and the points that we're trying to make, we are going to accept that there are generalities that we're talking about, also personal experiences. However, it's beneficial to do so. And if you don't think so, then feel free to fight me in the comments because I loved doing that. I love fighting in the comments if there's
We
anything
don't
about
fight
me.
here.
Right.
Take it to TikTok. Don't bring it here.
You don't want fighting in our comment section?
I
Okay,
don't know.
that's my Leo.
I'm not here
talking.
saying
That's fair.
love and light. That's not what I'm saying. But
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to invite fights, I guess.
I just feel like that's like take it to the playground, take it outside.
Right. Okay.
Catch me outside.
Find me on TikTok.
That's what it is.
That's what we can chat about it.
That's where I like to watch fighting. Anyway,
but for now, first before we jump in, did I also say please subscribe already?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we have great content. It only gets better from here. We're moving on up in the world. We're gonna be on SNL someday.
Yeah.
So like now's the time to subscribe for everybody's benefit.
If you're watching this, if you've made it this far, only 5 minutes. You're pretty lucky to know us now because we're just gonna be so.
It's only gonna get better from here.
Famous. I'm joking, but
I'm not.
Okay, so this conversation, which has been on my mind,
tell
for a while, for a long time, in my relationship with forming relationships with men, has been a journey that I've learned a lot about myself through.
Here.
Yeah.
Right there with you.
And so I'm excited to have this conversation. I have a lot of reflections on it, both as a woman who seeks partnership with men.
Yeah.
And also as a therapist who talks to women about men.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So this isn't just my opinions are personal, but also, I guess, mirrored by other women I talk to. And also just things I hear mirrored back to me in the collective. And I think it's an interesting and important conversation to have because talking about masculinity is beyond just people who identify as men, but also I do feel like there is this total energetic imbalance within the expression of masculinity, both within ourselves as women and men. And it's something that I've been on a journey on to understand and heal. I'm still definitely trying to understand it. Especially when I think about how I'm showing up in the world and also as a single female seeking single male, like how I attract healthy masculine energy into my life because I'm also I've put in the work to really connect with my healthy feminine energy.
Yeah.
And so wanting to attract energy in anything, in anyone that is healthy and can show me what that looks like, because honestly, I don't really know if I have known healthy masculine energy.
Fair.
So that's how I feel about that. It's my own kind of perspective coming into this conversation.
That's honest.
Yeah.
I think a good place to kind of have a starting point here is I made a TikTok like we talked about before. I like it. I like TikTok. And there was a woman who was like, how do we get a man to have emotional intelligence in a conversation / argument? How do we get the men to do this? And I addressed it from that angle. Here's how we get the man to do this. And it, it definitely included, like, you don't force people to improve. It has to be intrinsic motivation, but we do have a power of influence. And essentially it just boils down to asking for what you need, putting up boundaries, and having standards, and requiring people to meet those standards in order to have access to you. And I think the more women do that, the more society will evolve. And I think it's been that way throughout history, actually, to a large degree. So that was kind of the conversation. And there were men that came after me for that one. They were not happy about that. And I had a lot of comments about how unfair that was. And a lot of distortions around even what emotions are in the first place. But I did find out there are men who can understand that women, in order to survive in a world that is catering to a man, have to develop so much insightful awareness of the emotional dynamics around them. They have to for survival, and have to be 3 steps ahead of the person who is potentially going to hurt them physically, or like men are scary to a lot of women. There's a lot of women who are afraid of men, physically, on a physical survival level, but also, men are authority figures throughout history, and so there's another reason to cater to them, because they didn't always rule with fairness and equity, as is probably, I'm sure I don't have to prove that to anybody. So in that respect, from that place, women have had to at least grow emotional awareness. And that doesn't mean that all women are like the most emotionally mature. That's always a journey that's really never ending. There's always more you can learn there. However, because of the social dynamics, there are a lot of men that can even admit that women have had to develop their emotional awareness a lot more than men have. And men have had to develop other things in order to fit into society as well. So this isn't necessarily, that's not a beneficial thing. That's just the way it is. However, because of that, there are some really confusing things between the genders. There are confusing dynamics. And I would love to see, and I think we are seeing, more balance being brought into our collective conscious. And I think that's even why we're wanting to have the conversation in the first place, is to bring that balance by talking about our experience and what we've seen, in hopes that men will listen, in hopes that men can get to a place where they can at least say, okay, I'm going to hear you out. Right. But I think a lot of men are addicted to an inadequacy wound, to an extremely strong extent, because they were conditioned this, like, iron sharpens iron. They tease each other. We don't do that. Like, we don't tease it. We love each other. We're like kind and caring and supportive, right? On a very deep emotional level. But men have this, like, this is Sparta, like, we're going to attack. And because of that, it seems like it feels to the men, and from what I've heard, that everything they do is always wrong. Because that's the framework.
Can't get it right.
They can't get it right. That's the framework and that's so sad, and that's so painful. Yeah. And at the same time, we gotta move out of that, because it's making things hard. How do you see that showing up?
Well, yeah, I totally see it. I'm reflecting on a few different relationships with men in my life right now, and I totally see it. The fear of being vulnerable and emotionally available, and what that means for them. And so these relationships I'm thinking about are very challenging relationships, because there is a fear of opening up and being emotionally available when it comes to connection with anybody. I would want to feel, me personally, emotionally safe. Like, I have a safe space to land, even just talking to you, right? I would want that, to feel like I can open and speak my truth and have space be held for that. And I'm confronting these relationships, like, currently. That's not the case. I can hold space, but it's almost expected of me to do that, because I'm a woman. I'm a therapist. I am a woman that hopes to be a mother, has mothering, like, I'm in my feminine, it's consciously doing that and calling in the right masculine energy for me. And the men I call in or that I'm being, like, asked to look at, these relationships in my life, I see how much they resist that. They resist opening up. They resist actually building any kind of relationship or connection that is rooted and grounded in just authentic expression of the self, because that would mean they have to take off the mask of their ego, and that would mean they would have to be seen fully as who they are, in everything that they are. They're not bad people. Men are not.
No.
And no one can be defined by their wounds.
No. We love the men.
We all have, no matter how you identify, like, we all have these abandonment wounds.
Yes.
And fears of abandonment and rejection. We all do in our own way. We've learned those experiences. But I can't help but notice how for men it's so much harder to almost like access it, or to acknowledge it, or accept it, or to work past it. The ego wants to protect, and it's also, men have been conditioned socially, culturally, that it's, don't show emotion, don't be soft, don't admit your weaknesses, because that can be used against you, or that makes you less of a man. And I think there's a greater issue about the conditioning of men and how men are supposed to show up in a masculine, manly way, whatever is expected of you. I think that is the bigger problem.
There is a huge misunderstanding of what emotions are and how they're used and what they mean, because I have experienced showing kindness to a man, or saying this hurts, or genuinely showing a feeling, and an unsafe man will think of that as manipulation.
Yeah.
And they'll think of it as like a weakness, when it is actually incredible, shows incredible strength to be able to know your emotions, to sit with them, because they can be painful, and then to even voice them. The amount of strength that takes, especially for a woman who needed to not speak in order to survive for a long amount of time. So the amount of strength that takes is a lot, but a lot of men don't understand that strength. And so they see it as through a huge wound, to the point where I've even had somebody say, "Oh, you're so kind. I just changed my whole perspective on everything. Thank you for being so kind." Like this very passive aggressive, mocking ridicule. They ridicule people, and it's incredible cruelty. I responded to that by saying, "Remind me what's wrong with kindness again," because they literally see that emotion of kindness and compassion as a problem. And that's been so like interwoven from the time they were children. It's really tragic. It makes me very sad. It makes me very sad.
Me sad too. And you know, the men in my family, I have my father, I have uncles and cousins, and I think I've learned a lot from them, but also like just other men in my life, especially around trying to build romantic or intimate connections with men. It's been incredibly challenging. It's not been a safe experience for me,
because women are getting to a point where they need that safety, because we're not going to a place where we hide our emotions. We're not going back to a place where we stop talking and speaking up for ourselves. We're not going to a place where we stunt our own growth. We're not doing that. So the only other option is looking around and saying, wow, look at this gap. There is a huge gap here, to the point where it's just like there's a huge conversation even around decentering men altogether, and women who are deciding to remove a man from the focal point of their life, because for thousands of years it's been that way.
Yeah. For myself, my relationship with masculine energy over the past 10 months.
Yeah. Not so good. Not so great.
Well, I've chosen not to focus on masculine energy outside of myself.
Right.
Because it just hasn't felt like a mutually beneficial exchange. It feels like an outdated, like it feels like I became conscious of old patterns coming up, how maybe this like part of myself that felt like I had to bend over backwards to help a man feel safe in order for me to feel safe in a connection with them. And so I would carry the emotional weight of relationships and, overextend myself to feel like I could like fight for my right to be appreciated and valued and loved.
Yeah.
And specifically over the past 10 months, just with things happening for me, I've had to like get really comfortable and intimate with my inner masculine.
Yeah.
Because I'm not blaming my relationship with men on men. I think I've had to become conscious of my responsibility and how I like believe what I believe I deserve in terms of like, you know, what I can expect from men in my life. I think I've heard this from many women and people in general. Like, I don't really expect much from them. And I just refuse that to like, because we're all people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Like, we're all people. And I think people that want to have genuine, authentic connection do this kind of work.
Yeah.
And are able to do the work so that they can also be a safe person in general, and then show up and help create safe space for others. Baseline. And so I had to look at myself and be like, what is my relationship, or how my masculine expression, and why am I accepting this? And I think, and I'm speaking mostly about my romantic endeavors in my life, manifesting a partner in that sense. I was joking with Heather off camera. I'm just going to say it. It's also on our cue card. I've been single for a long time, and I have grown out my bush in protest.
Yes, girl.
Because I truly can't care about this, but I say that to be funny, but also for me, it was a thing of empowerment, because I need to feel emotionally safe in a connection to have any kind of relationship with anybody that is long lasting and sustainable,
right?
And to build off of anything.
And how are we catering to the wounded parts of the masculine in order to just settle for a connection that's really not going to be satisfying in the long run?
Right. And for myself, I'm still sitting with it, to be fair. I'm still exploring that. But what does it mean for me to be in my masculine? And maybe that needs a little bit of attention and healing. Like, what does it mean for me to be in my power, and to make things happen in my life, to build my business, to keep structure and stay discerning and create these systems that I can build a life off of, and hope that whatever those things, those qualities I can address in myself and appreciate in myself, then I'll also be able to identify it in the right kind of partner for me. I think there's been a huge need to rewire what it means to have a healthy relationship with a man.
Yeah.
And I have to accept and own that I decide what that looks like. And there will be people and someone who can do that, because they've also been doing the work on themselves. Because I think, I don't care, like I said, if you're a man or woman, we all have shit we need to sit with. And for men who have wounded a sense of worth, or a sense of lack, like for anybody, it is detrimental. And especially when you have societal pressure and family pressure to be a provider, for you to be in lack, it's like, that has to be the most confronting. I mean, it has to be the most confronting, like painful, like confrontation to your identity as a man and how you've been conditioned to be.
Yeah.
And
it's heartbreaking if you think about it long enough. Yeah.
No, it is. And I have compassion, and I am not in the camp of hating men.
No.
Never have been. However, I also think that is an epidemic.
Yeah.
And it's,
when you've done this work for yourself as a woman, it's this negotiation between compassion for somebody that you love, mixed with the boundaries and empowerment of also not learning to not rely on them or need them for something so that you can protect yourself for when they are in their wounded parts and interact in healthier ways around that and have those boundaries while also having the compassion. Because there are men, and I think as a woman, how I want a man to respond is not to be perfect and have it figured out. I want a man, and I have a man in my life who is very committed to growth, not having it all figured out, but being willing to be challenged and being willing to sort through those painful things. And one of the, it's, I think, long-term benefit, but probably the men, including my kids who are all boys, probably, you know, really frustrating for them, is the benefit of having a woman in your life is that she is going to be 10 steps ahead of you when it comes to what's going on emotionally in the room. She's going to clock an emotion
likely to happen
before you realize you're having one sometimes. And that can probably be frustrating. I can accept that, but it's like, okay, there is a sense where women are like, okay, now it's time to catch up. And there are some men who will not even consider trying to catch up or that they need to catch up. But the problem is then they're not going to improve and get to a place where they can have compassion for themselves. So it's not like catch up because you're inadequate and you're not getting there. It's catch up because there's so much love here for you to experience and you deserve that as a human being. So it's not from a place of you're not doing this right. And I think that's been communicated by a lot of women, because just because we have emotional awareness doesn't necessarily mean we have emotional maturity. So women have, and mothers have, contributed to the problem in their own lack of awareness, in their own wounding. For sure.
For just going back to my own experience, my old patterns, like when I didn't get what I needed from partners in the past, males in my life, I did more.
Right.
To overcompensate for it, because that's also my unbalanced and wounded feminine. That's like, well, I have to take care of them so they know how much they're loved and appreciated. And then when they know that, they'll make different choices because they'll see like
what's possible. No, because then it doesn't address their core wound. It just almost supports it.
That it enables it. It's like the doting mother. I'm not their mother.
Right.
I ain't nobody's mom.
That's right. Except for my kids, but still.
I ain't got that. I got a Furby.
My kids who are like elementary.
I got a cat.
Elementary, middle school, they're like, oh no, not another talk about our emotions. And I'm like, yep, have a seat. And we sort it out, and they know exactly how to do it. And that I am proud of, because I know a lot of men weren't taught that for a while.
It's an important skill for anyone to know, to be able to understand how you're feeling and to observe it and then make an empowered choice. Based off how you feel. Even if it's a challenging feeling, you can still, I acknowledge that I'm having a hard time going there and feeling this. And I know it's important for me to do that, because if I press it down, it just stunts my growth as a person.
And the love that you could have, and the satisfaction in life you can have, and the happiness that you can have.
I see. I'm just picturing in my mind right now men in my life that are just completely burdened.
It's just doesn't have to be that way. And the only way out is through, unfortunately, the emotional processing and learning that.
And, you know, it's not picking on men, but I just really do believe there is such a greater issue here of this like wider conditioning of how some men are raised.
A lot of men.
And how it's reinforced through
society
so much. And when I think of the collective, an energetic collective of men, I really do. I mean, I pray for them that they can know peace and understand that their strength is not measured through the strength of controlling their emotions and suppressing them.
But the strength of allowing themselves to be a full human being that can experience the spectrum of emotion and realize that they're still worthy of love in that point.
Yes. And to then make the empowered choice to go after the things that they actually want instead of stopping themselves or believing they don't deserve it because they don't want to show vulnerability and real emotion, because that is scary and it's probably earned fear. It's probably something you've learned, but you could be listening to this and be like, I'm not a man, I still feel this. Exactly.
Yeah. Human. This is a human experience. I think it's like in the human experience, men culturally have certain more, they have trailblazed certain areas, power, authority in the world. Right. And women, this is the women's expertise. And when you have an inadequacy wound, it's really hard to admit that somebody else might have an expertise, because it doesn't make us better humans, because we know how to be healthier emotionally on a wide scale or be more aware. It's just, I just really appreciate when a man can say, there's things for me to learn here. I'm going to walk this path. I need to take my time. And at that point, it does require a woman to be a sense of safety and support, but not to the extent where it's overdoing it and enabling. It's a really complicated balance, I think, that we're all kind of experiencing right now.
It's super complicated.
Yeah. And I do feel like it's really important to talk about the ways a wounded woman can affect things so negatively, to the point where, like, if a woman is not aware of her power, I, as a woman who am aware of my own power, I am terrified of that woman. I will not let that woman anywhere near me because she does not know what she is doing with the power that she has, and it can be painful. And I think a lot of men, it's part of the reason why there's so much backlash. And like, if a woman says, hey, I'm good at this, please listen to me, they're like, no, you're not, is because the wounded feminine in our collective community has wreaked havoc and taken their emotional awareness to manipulate. And a man can be 10 steps in and not realize that they are on their way to their own doom. Like, a woman can destroy. It's that like concept of the siren, where it's like, oh no, just follow my voice, and now I have your soul.
I think, just thinking about dark archetypes, the shadow archetypes of the masculine and the feminine. Not necessarily good or bad, but knowing that the feminine is this creative source, we bring life into this world, but we're also the destroyer.
Wild, Kali.
We create life, and then we can also clear obstacles. We can take you. Your mother ever say to you, I brought you into this world, I can take you out?
Yeah. That's scary.
Women in a lot of cultures around the world are seen and honored in that energy because of just the cosmic connection to that energy of the feminine.
Yeah.
How we can think about Mother Nature, creates new life and also destroys.
Yeah.
Right. So it's something to be respected. And then also the archetype of the masculine energy of the protector, the warrior, the wounded warrior,
Yeah, over giving and over sacrificing in more of a physical realm, physical ways.
Yeah. And when there's an imbalance in yourself, or in your dynamics, it creates these challenging relationship dynamics. I mean, that's how we learn from each other. That's how we learn the most, is through relationships, especially the learning polarity and about these energies. It's how we're interacting with other people, and we're mirroring each other too, in this great experiment that is life.
And that's why this conversation is so important, is because we are going to help each other become more well-rounded people internally.
Yeah.
It's time for that balance to happen internally, and therefore it has to happen externally. It's just going to happen at the same time, basically.
And Heather, knows my situations intimately.
We're friends.
Yeah, we're good friends. And you've heard my challenges with, like, how do I hold space? How do I support this when I can love somebody so much and just see them in their wounded masculine, and I can't meet them there.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of like the things that love, when you clear a lot of the wounding away, you become pure love. And the power of that love is so beyond. It's so intense. It's so it can be overwhelming because that love gives you strength to do things that seem impossible. That's why I feel like it's described as like, I will cross an ocean for your love, or tell me to move this mountain and I'll move it for you, or whatever. There's all these like, strong promises that are like wildly romantic in our culture and in movies. And I think it's because love is a force that is incredibly, impossibly huge. I can't really put words around it. And so it's really hard to have that love for somebody and know when to lean in and when to back off, when to be safe and when it becomes enabling. And it's like this dance of checking in with yourself and saying, is this taking something away from me? No. Okay, then lean in and be the support for this person, this man that you love so, so much. Allow yourself to give of yourself when it is appropriate, because love does give and love also receives. So is this reciprocal? Are you also getting what you need? Can you get it somewhere else for a period of time before you go back in? So it's a more complex dynamic, but there is nothing more gratifying than being with somebody on their journey and watching them grow alongside you as you grow. And so that has to be a part of any healthy relationship. There's no one that's better than another, because you're up when they're down, and the roles will change back and forth, because that's all of us. We're all on this growth journey. And it can be really hard to know, it can be really hard to walk that line. But it's leaning into love that helps you, not leaning out of the love. Love for yourself, love for another.
Yeah. I have found in my experience that, just I guess in my journey, but maybe someone out there will resonate with this, I've had to learn how to like lead energetically in connections with men. And I have to honor my boundaries. That's my healthy masculine energy coming in.
I think,
and protect my softness.
Lead, I think, is a really important description there. I kind of think of it as like, the men will lead the charge. I will guide where they go in the first place. I feel like that's a really beautiful blend of that feminine and masculine. And unfortunately, we've had such an imbalance of power that we can't really see that played out in a healthy way yet. It's gotten absurd currently, beyond absurd.
We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, but we know. Check the news. It's everywhere.
Anyway.
And it really could be a beautiful working together when both parties involved respect each other's expertise.
Yeah.
And I would love to see more of it.
I would too.
And I think part of it is creating it in our partnerships between women and men, is a way to make that better.
And I have, as a woman, I've had to really confront. Sorry, I just got sidetracked. I've had to confront just like this realization that I don't feel safe speaking vulnerably about how I feel to men, because through my lived experiences have been shown that how I feel leads to separation.
Because they take it as an insult, because there's an inadequacy. If you feel upset, they've done something wrong. And the weird part about that is they care so much about you that crushes their soul. There is a deep amount of love that they are accessing. They don't even realize it. And
what do they do in response?
Pull back or push away. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that has, I've realized, only justified and accelerated or exacerbated or whatever, that fear. And so it's been my responsibility over the past, consciously over the past 10 months to really observe that and to understand that and try to like heal that, and like remember, like, I can't, no matter who it is, man or woman, I can't take it personally when someone rejects me or I perceive them to reject me when I'm just showing up authentically in my emotion, because I will be met. I know and I trust in my heart, and this is something that I have become consciously aware of, like, I will be met in my softness, and I will be safe, and I will be held, and I will be loved, and I will be listened to, and I will know when that happens. And so I don't have to force it or try to convince someone who can't see past their wounds. I can't hold someone to that standard if they have yet to do that work or are willing to do that work with me.
No convincing, no forcing. No chasing. That's not the energy. Teaching, however, one of the parts that makes this hard is there are elements where we do have to teach people how to treat us. And it doesn't negate what you're saying, because that's absolutely true. Somebody has to be
teach through boundaries.
Willing. Somebody has to be willing to do the work in order to even come close to hanging. So, and at the same time, what's really hard about the journey teaching is when a man isn't getting that, a woman is having a feeling and needs to be held and be safe in that. Now the woman has this big feeling that she's having. And on top of that layer, she also has to go to a place where she says, I can't take this personally. He hasn't learned how to do this. This is a man that I love. So I am going to now ask him for what I need, or say, hey, when you say it this way, it makes me uncomfortable. Can you say it this way? Can you hold me? Can you tell me that you love me? Like giving specific and clear teach instructions. And then he might have to have an emotional journey of moving through the inadequacy and getting to a place where he's even willing to do what she's asking for before she can even have that emotion held. And that is so much emotional labor right there. So much emotional labor. And not that has to happen in that way every time, but I think that's a part of it.
Well, it is a dance, because there has to be a level of mutual respect and love,
right?
And
first
effort to be put into that dance for it to be worth it.
Yes. That's a really good way to say that. Yeah.
Because that's two people who want to do the work and showing up even when it's hard. And then that's communicated both literally and Frenchly. That's not always the case.
It's possible.
It's possible.
It's happening. It
happens all the time. Happens all the time.
It's a lot. It's a lot for both parties. It's a lot for the men. It's a lot for the women.
So talking about like the conditioning of men, right? And don't be weak. Don't show emotion. You have to provide. And if you don't, that really says a lot about you as a man. I don't know what else there is. That's the most I could think of off the top of my head. Yeah. There's more, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But even for women,
there's no crying in baseball or whatever.
No crying.
Whatever the hell.
Don't you dare cry. Mm-hmm. But also, like, women, we have our own conditioning.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking as a straight woman. Yeah. Let alone the intersections of identity here. Yeah. And the polarity, the dichotomy, and also the spectrum of identity and expression, gender expression. Mm-hmm. So I understand that, my perception on this is coming through a pretty heteronormative lens.
Yeah.
But also it impacts all of us so much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, women, I definitely am trying to move through this is like, okay, how can I honor my intuitiveness, my softness, this desire to be nurturing and to be empathetic and to show up and create space, and but also how can I tap into that inner masculine energy and be protective in a way that is also supported by this feminine discernment, my intuitive discernment, as well. But I think for me, a big wound that I've had to work through, which I see in a lot of women, is how to not overextend myself emotionally and
Yeah.
like play small to fit into a man's life.
Yeah.
For security.
Right.
Which is also a false sense of security. False sense of security. But
Yeah.
I've been led to believe from a young age that I will be safe and I will have figured my shit out as a woman when I have found a husband who can take care of me and have children.
Right.
And I have neither of those things.
Right.
Because men have been hurting my feelings since 1993.
Men, what the heck? You stop it.
But like I said, it's also my fault for letting you.
Okay, personal accountability.
Oh, I just got that in the trash. Sorry.
Like a dude. Like
Come on,
old
man.
girl.
Kobe.
Throw like a girl.
If they're like a girl. Oh, that's pretty good.
That was good.
Anyway, I don't know. I really, my feelings toward the divine masculine, I used to have a lot of rage. I think there are a lot of things that need to be burned to the ground. And I'm trying to honestly think of, you know what's interesting? I'm having a hard time thinking of a man right now that isn't problematic.
Right. For the reasons that men are problematic. And that's because they're a man that's growing up in this culture.
Yeah. Now, my relationship with my father.
And pause. I don't know what it's like to have testosterone coursing through my veins. I don't know what that's like. I'm going to know a lot about a man's state because I've been observing it. Like my life depends on it, literally since I was a small child. But I don't know what it's like to be a man, 100%. Like for sure. Yeah, so I'm just watching this dynamic and just wishing and hoping for these men to find a sense of inner peace.
It's really all I hope for because I really, I've sat with this and I do feel a lot of grief for the male collective.
The way the men punish themselves is brutal.
Yeah, the way that I think about the way that I would connect, when I think about connecting with the men that I love, regardless of how they show up, or I think about like if I had a son, my God, a child, right? Like I would never want them to feel that way. And to know that there are grown men in this world that do, and that impacts everything, their relationships and how they show up in the world, how they feel about themselves. I don't know. I would just never want my son to feel that way. I would want them to always know security and safety and to express themselves and to know that men are conditioned to that it is a sign of weakness and not what it means to be a man. I think it's just so absolutely stunted. It's so emotionally stunted. It is to make men complacent to systems that have been created by men. And I just, it just feeds this toxic cycle of broken families and people, just a lot of people not getting their emotional needs met.
Yeah. And again, blame on the men and the women, because I think a part of it is like your self-talk is the way your parents talk to you at a very young age, or the way your parents talk to themselves even. So if your mom is hard on herself and then critical of you, you're going to start having that voice in your mind. And I'm extremely conscious with 3 boys of being that inner self-talk. And when I see that shame pop up in their mental processes, challenging it and guiding them to be able to, like, we're not fully formed. It's a journey. You have to learn how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Guiding them to be able to shift their thoughts to a more loving place. So I will even say, is there a kinder way to approach this without taking away the sense of desire to improve themselves, without saying, oh no, it's okay, you didn't do anything wrong, honey, everything's fine, I'll fix it for you. That is overcompensating. But saying something like, sounds like this is really upsetting to you, and you are somebody who made a mistake because you're a human being, and being that self-talk that I do try to do myself. I'm a human being. I'm doing the best I can. And at the same time, I want to do this differently in the future. So I'm going to learn this lesson, and giving them that like ability to plug into what that pain is now creating for them in the ways of like the desire, the reward that comes from that, the lesson that comes from feeling that pain in the first place. So yes, nurturing them through it, but not taking them away from the failure so that they can decide how they want to show up going forward without collapsing in on themselves and beating themselves up for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, for having a human experience that's been broken down into this really toxic binary.
It's grace plus learning.
Yeah.
If I had to boil it down to 2 words, grace and lessons. I don't know.
Grace and lessons. You know, I just want to take a moment of silence for the divine masculine collective.
I feel like here's what I want men to know. Women do know more than you in certain areas, and that doesn't make them better. Actually asking them what they know and hearing them out will make you better, not to replace your authority, but to enhance it and to share it with all of us. And that's probably too complicated, too wordy to say. So I need to figure out a way to boil that down. I'm in my feminine and I'm getting very complex, but that's the gist. Maybe you can help me make that more concise.
I'm just trying to think of like, how does the wounded masculine show up in women? In like myself, and just through patterns of behavior that I've worked with other women on. Asking for help.
Right. Overly
doing everything by yourself.
Yeah.
Hyper
independence. That's overcorrection. Yeah. In this imbalance. I know sometimes my husband will be like, who are you talking to? Like, I'm on your side. Why are you fighting me about this? Because I'm giving this speech about how I deserve this thing. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, right. You're on my team. So sometimes I overly try to like stand up for myself when I've actually called in people who already believe that I should be doing that in the first place. But I had to overcorrect so that I could find the balance there.
Yeah.
I can give myself grace for that.
Yeah. I don't know. When I think about just my own journey with like healing the inner masculine within me, it's really been a journey of I guess I'm just thinking about this now for the first time, but it's like
you heard it here first, folks.
Like I am making these realizations, you know, because I just want to recognize and highlight, like, I don't have a partner, I don't have that kind of healthy male counterpart or a willing participant at this point in time. So I am thinking about how it's showing up in myself and in my journey with burnout and trying and like overworking myself and how like trying to like pull myself up by my bootstraps and thinking or believing that I have to do it all by myself and I have to provide for myself, which of course I do, but not to the extent of my like demise.
You can't provide for yourself by yourself. You have to rely on others.
Right. And this male archetype of the lone wolf definitely shows up in me. At least that's something I've had to heal within myself.
Yeah.
And to remother, to re-nurture in myself. Because that is also when I think of those like thoughts in my mind and that like exacerbate those patterns. It's my father's voice.
Yeah.
You know, those are things that he was told as a lad and he somehow made it work, but also he had a woman in his corner allowing him to do it, holding it down. Shout out to Mark and Sharon Blanchard, doing great.
Jill's parents.
But yeah, you know, I have to like recognize those patterns in myself and and like feeling like my worth is connected to my ability to make money or provide. I think that's also the wounded masculine within myself, or that I'm not worthy of genuine connection and love until I can show that I have my life together. And that's also like ego and false safety and security. That's a mask, and it's not authentic. And that is masculine healing that I've had to do. And I guess I'm hyper aware of it because those are traits that I confront in men that I attract in my life.
Yeah, the inadequacy wound.
The inadequacy wound. Try that.
Inadequacy wound.
So I have compassion for it, and I understand how challenging it is, and I'm just a girl. And I'm learning how to soften and be gentler and kinder to myself and to nurture those parts of me that feel like they have to overcompensate to be worthy of anything. And you don't have to struggle to be worthy or deserving. You just innately are. And I would hope anyone would want to believe that for themselves. And I hope you choose to be around others that can help mirror that belief back to you, because it's a really hard and isolating journey to do that by yourself.
And imagine what that world looks like. Like, imagine what it looks like when we not only rely on each other for the providing of our physical needs and our survival, but men and women relying on each other for emotional safety, for the experience that is internal, and sharing that with another person, and then dividing the responsibilities according to our strengths and according to, with respect for our capacity in the moment, and then what that looks like on like a global scale. Because I can tell you right now, there is no woman that would be okay with so much that's happening in the world right now. There is no woman. Okay, I'm being generalizing right here. The divine feminine is not going to tolerate starvation of children. It's not going to allow that to exist in her world. And
it's unnatural.
It's not going to happen. And I think there is a sense of what you're talking about is like the woman feels like she's coming as an underdog. We gotta like we gotta like do too much to get over the hurdle, because we're coming from behind where we've not been heard and not been respected for the expertise that we have and the what we can bring to the situation. So it does feel like we have to do too much sometimes.
And it's all a mirror. Like the suppression of the feminine in culture and society is a mirror of the masculine suppressing it within themselves.
Right.
And I just can't participate in that anymore, because what that leads to is me abandoning a part of myself, a huge part of myself, myself.
And enabling a man to think that they're complete when they're not whole if they don't accept those parts of themselves.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's more than just a relationship between a man and a woman, but even just like how men raise their children and show up and perpetuate that conditioning or break those patterns. It's generational. It's not anything that one, I think, single individual person can like blame themselves for what they're experiencing, because this is generational cultural conditioning. It's deep. It's a deep root that has to be like attacked, to use a masculine word, right? And you have to fight the conditioning to really get to who you are underneath it, who you've been told to believe. And then on top of just having generally challenges of accessing that emotion, like I think it takes a real man to understand the pain and the hurt that they've experienced and to feel it and to express it. And I just think that's like a really human thing to do. but especially for men, because they've been conditioned to avoid that at all costs. Yeah. And that is their number one biggest detriment, because to ignore how you feel, I mean, how you feel emotion is how you create association to things in your life in general. It's how you learn from your experiences. When you process how you feel, and you are in control. This is your hypno pal Jill speaking. Like, you are in control of you might not be in control of how you feel, but you're in control of how you associate that and what you do about it. Mm-hmm. And so when you are confronted with a challenging emotion and you choose to suppress it, it just creates illness, physical challenges, and sickness and mental health challenges, unhealthy relationships, and really negative self-talk. Yeah. And on a spiritual level, it stunts you. It keeps you from actually receiving everything that you are meant to have and receive and deserve to receive in this world, in this life.
Emotions, when they're acted out in impulsively, reactively, create pain and problems for everybody else. A man who's unwilling to be self-reflective and be emotionally aware creates those emotional problems for the world in which he exists. Instead of taking accountability and responsibility for approaching that, you're actually not getting the information you need to make your own life better. And that's why we're in these cycles of a downward spiral.
And then a man who also carries responsibility for a family, and that's the state that he's in, it's detrimental.
Ooh.
You hurt yourself, you hurt everyone else too. Yeah. Like, and it's just a big pattern. So I don't know. I don't know, I guess, honestly, as a woman.
What do you want from the men?
I kind of just want to leave you guys alone. so
you can figure it out.
You know, I don't know, I've had to empower myself to speak and create boundaries and empower myself to clearly speak those boundaries and my needs when it comes to relationships with men in my life, because that's just my reality, right? And all I can do is do that and then leave them to decide how they want to show up in it.
Yeah. And
it's not to say that I'm not trying to push people away. That's something I'm healing in myself too. Mm-hmm. But like, when it comes to any healthy relationship, it does take two people to show up. So all I can do is speak my truth and hold my boundary and see if I'm met or not.
Right.
And then I guess you got to do that. People, like, it really is up to an individual to do that work.
Yeah. Then you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run.
Yeah. And I'm still figuring that out too. But I can only hope that individually, what can I do to support that masculine energy in my life is to honor it within myself and show up with compassion and loving boundaries.
And I would love for the men to ask more questions and get more curious about what all the women are trying to say, instead of getting mad at us that we're saying something.
What would it look like for me to be in a space with a man where I can feel safe to express myself and to work on a healthy relationship? I guess they would have to ask more questions and try to, or have a desire to understand how I feel. Mm-hmm. Because that, to me, that shows that they care. Yeah. And then to also respond.
And to do that for themselves first, to know how good that feels.
Yeah.
To love yourself enough to work through something.
I really want you to love yourself.
Yeah.
Because how can you love anyone else if you don't love yourself? And I just think men men have it rough. Sorry. But I do believe that to an extent, because this is it's like seeing divine masculine energy just being stuck in a karmic hamster wheel. Like, how are you going to break this cycle for yourself, for your own ancestral line, for your own family, let alone a whole collective of men?
I will say, and we're like cooking with fire here, so we can end it. But I will say there's times where the man in my life will say things to me about where he's at, and it will instantly make me cry, because I'm like, oh my God, that is so sad. That thought that you just had about yourself is so sad. When you say that out loud, that is so painful. And it's not like change it or you're wrong or you're bad. It's just like, you don't know the weight you're carrying because you were told you were supposed to, and you don't have to. And like, please learn how not to, so that, not even so that you can show up for us, although that's a great byproduct, but also so that you don't have to live with that day to day collectively. It's too much of a burden to bear. You don't have to.
100%. And I think that's why I have grief when I connect to that collective energy. Because I just, that's too heavy. It's too heavy to hold by yourself.
Yeah. So ultimately, we want the best for the men, and that will be what's best for the women.
Yeah, it's best for everyone.
For everyone, because we're all human beings. And we all deserve compassion, grace, and to learn our lessons and not just keep repeating them over and over again.
Yeah, you deserve more, honey.
That's right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming to our TED Talk. I expect DMs and curious men to now reach out to us and try to find out more on how they can help themselves have a better life, because we, as empowered women who have put ourselves in a place where we are willing to give that information and share some of what we've learned, can help with that, along with a lot of other people and a lot of other men and a lot of other women who can help with that. So 100%. Comment, subscribe.
Be here,
like,
or be square,
and send messages.
Okay.
And bye.
We'll work on this exit eventually.
I kind of like the chaos.
Okay, cool. Bye.